Hello everyone, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. It's Thursday, February 16th. I'm Batsir Namshir. Our top stories for today. Consultative poll meeting was organized on February 15th. Mongolian Prime Minister held talks with his South Korean counterpart. And South Korean tourists will be exempted from visa for up to 90 days. For the news, stay tuned. Parties participating in the private consultative poll meeting were expressing their positions on some issues related to the economy and social policy. In this framework, the issue about the need to establish a treasury fund was discussed. From the explanations of researchers, it seems prudent to include best international experiences when establishing the Treasury Fund. Most importantly, there is a principle that the management of this fund should be independent from politics. Researchers explain to lawyers that it's correct to implement this kind of fund adhering to this principle.
For the public, it should be available from a legal point of view to control the performance of the fund. The lawyers explained to the researchers that transparency of information provides great opportunities for monitoring. Citizens who participated in the consultation meeting expressed their views on the necessity of establishing a fund, and the issue of decentralization became one of the main topics of the consultation meeting. In general, it's believed that one of the main paths to solve the problem of congestion in Ulaanbaatar is to support local communities and reduce centralization. We don't talk in a big way about developing a factory. By developing the industry in this way, the attractiveness of the countryside will increase.
The Treasury Fund is talking about the issue of the proper use of resources. The issue of proper spending of funds was also discussed. We believe that it is possible to develop industrialization to the extent that we can export products needed on the world market, and not just by distributing the wealth. A lot of foundations have been established in the past, but many of those have not actually implemented anything. I don't think it's necessary to create a wealth fund again. We want to include the raw material of cattle in the price of cow hide. This is a resource more valuable than mining.
Losses in monetary policy have led to inflation. That's why people's purchasing power keeps gone down. This is the biggest problem. The second problem is use of natural resources. If they are the property of people, how can it be controlled and used transparently? According to the comments of some academics and opinions of citizens, the main opportunity for local development is to implement the regional development policy. Previously, many policy documents were issued and the legal framework was created. However, the parties are raising the issue that it is important to fully implement the policy. Also, some representatives raised the issue that the law on the management of territorial units needs to be amended and refined in the future.
The Prime Minister of Mongolia, Oyun, who is on an official visit to the Republic of Korea, and his Korean counterpart, Han Duck-soo, held unofficial talks on February 15th. The two prime ministers exchanged views on advancing the two countries' cooperation in trade, investment, and the economy, and joint commitments in the international and regional arena. This is the first visit of the Prime Minister of Mongolia following the high-level online summit between the presidents of the two countries held in 2021, where the bilateral relations of our two countries advanced to a strategic partnership.
Prime Minister Oyun appreciated the government of Korea for their consistent support of Mongolian democracy reform and sustainable development, and reaffirmed his commitment to deepening the relations anchored in our shared values of democracy, human rights, freedom, and the free market with the Republic of Korea, which is Mongolia's third neighbor in all sectors. For his side, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo highlighted the high importance that the government of Korea is attaching to the visit of Mongolian delegations led by the Prime Minister of Mongolia to Korea, and expressed his commitment to further strengthening the mutually beneficial and complementary strategic partnership relations with Mongolia by including Mongolia in its Indo-Pacific strategy as the country with leading relations. On the Mongolian side, mentioning the Mongolian endeavors to broaden the new airport into regional transportation and logistics hub and establish a new city and economic free zone in the Hushuk Valley, leveraging on this new airport under the Vision 2050 long-term development policy and the new revival policy of the government of Mongolia, they warmly welcomed the Korean investors to actively take part in these development projects. The Korean side expressed to expand the project scope based on the results of the new Zolmot Smart City project, which is being implemented as part of the K-City network of Korea in order to support Mongolian policy to establish a satellite town. Moreover, the Korean side favorably accepted the proposal to jointly implement a project called Conducting a Feasibility Study for establishing a new smart and green city in Orkhon Valley and developing required documents in connection with the decision of the government of Mongolia to reconstruct the ancient Mongolian capital city of Karakorum. The sides reaffirmed that developing a solid cooperation in the rare earth metals field by combining the Mongolian natural resources with cutting-edge technology and know-how of the Republic of Korea is of high significance in expanding two countries' trade and economic cooperation. To that extent, the two countries agreed to set up a new committee for the establishment of the Mongolia-Korea Joint Research Center for Rare Earth Metals. The establishment of the Memorandum of Understanding to cooperate on supply chain of rare earth metals was unanimously appraised by both sides. South Korea is a major trade partner of Mongolia, and the trade turnover between Mongolia and South Korea, which was estimated at 270,000 in the early years of diplomatic relations, has reached over $700 million as of 2022. To eliminate constraints to the exchange of goods and services and support bilateral trade and investment, the sides further agreed to start a dialogue on economic partnership agreement based on the results of joint research. The signing of the joint statement on the start of negotiations on the draft agreement on economic partnership between Mongolia and the Republic of Korea is considered one of the key results of this visit.
For example, there is an agreement with Japan on a tariff discount for 5,000 types of products exported from Mongolia, while 8,000 types of products from Japan can benefit from an export tax discount. The Mongolian government expressed its interest in establishing a similar agreement with Korea.
South Korea and Mongolia agreed to establish a bilateral working group to cooperate in the direction of facilitating visa requirements for citizens and emphasized that the scope of multiple entry visas would be expanded. It was also decided to increase the number of consular staff on both sides to expedite the issuance of visas to citizens. Since the parties have been actively cooperating in the regional and international arenas, they reaffirmed their commitment to continue coordinating their efforts within the framework of the UN and other international organizations. The Korean side confirmed that it will continue to support Ulaanbaatar Dialogue Initiative, noting that the two nations will continue to cooperate in the direction of securing peace and stability in Northeast Asia. In addition, the Korean side indicated its support for the 17th Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, which will take place in Mongolia in 2026.
Let's take a look at our next story. During his official visit, the Prime Minister of Mongolia announced a program, Welcome to Mongolia, in Seoul. Notably, as part of the years to visit Mongolia, and South Korean tourists will be exempted from visa for up to 90 days.
In connection with the decision of the government of Mongolia to declare 2023 to 2025 as the years to visit Mongolia, a comprehensive cultural tourism and economic program, Welcome to Mongolia, has been initiated. aiming at stimulating the activities of the tourism industry, further promoting Mongolia to the world, improving the economy, and increasing foreign investments in Mongolia. South Korean tourists will be exempted from visa requirements for up to 90 days as part of the years to visit Mongolia. During his official visit, Prime Minister Oyurten expressed his confidence that 2023 would be a year that opened a new chapter in the history of the two countries' relations. Over 200 artists and entrepreneurs from Korea such as KT Group, K-Bank, Samsung Corporation, Hyundai took part in this Welcome to Mongolia event in South Korea, and representing Mongolia, more than 100 entrepreneurs also participated.
Now let's take a look at Mongolia's current affairs.
Vehicles that violate the number restriction regulation will be detected by road surveillance cameras and held accountable, say the traffic police. If the car plate number ends on 1 or 6, the car should not participate in any movement on Monday. A car plate number that ends on 2 or 7 is restricted on Tuesday. Numbers ending on 3 or 8 are restricted on Wednesday, and numbers ending on 4 or 9 are restricted on Thursday. Car plate numbers ending on 5 or 0 should not participate in any traffic movement on Friday. The following number restrictions do not apply during the Lunar New Year holidays.
You're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We'll see you on Friday with more news and updates. Goodbye.